So we're gonna have to shift this again. Are we live now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna. Yeah. We need this amp on. We're charging on the amp.
Yeah. But if we don't need it, because then if you're taking out the amp, then we can use the external.
Because taking out the amp, huh? No, we're still changing, facing it that way. No. Take off the amp. You got a second port, isn't there, for USB? Yeah. No, I'm asking for a second port because the closer we move this, so even if we keep it at this one and move it a bit closer there, at least you won't catch this light. Because as it is here, see, it's catching the light. So that's what I don't want, because they're there and we won't be able to hear them if they're there. Huh? No, it's fine. Just keep it like that because they're going to be talking from there. And then if we can, then. I need Tracy. Can't see them even on the live. Because then I would need to move this there. This needs to go there because then the code won't fit. That's what I was asking. Just one of the ports. Just.
You got a second port here? You got a second port here? Yeah, you got another port here. You could have put it there.
Move it up.
Yeah.
You can actually row in front of you.
I put him there. Yeah, we can. Hi. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Just want to thank you for coming out. My name is Justin Roberts. I'm the chairperson for the Pietermaritzburg Cape Colored Congress. We know that you'll have a bit of a delay, but nevertheless, we really grateful that you could face us, which was present. What we'd like to firstly do is that take note that we are live on Facebook. There is a link that's going around, so the link will be shareable. It is in the KZN CCC group. Just if we can acknowledge and like and share that as well. I'd like to specifically introduce or welcome the provincial team, President Fadiel Adams, Joe Cooper, the Treasurer, as well as Shekinah Freeman, Secretary General. Sakina. All right. Then we have from the from the Durban crew. Province. Sorry, we've got Gerald Fina, who's a chairperson. We've got Selwyn Anderson. We've got Everard Paul. We've got Lenny Joseph and Rafika Joseph. And we've got Gavin Jude. Okay, wonderful. So basically we gathered this evening to welcome the CCC into Pietermaritzburg. We've had some turbulence in the past whereby we find that the minority group of people support political parties, and what actually happens in the end is that we actually get left out. We promise service delivery and a whole lot of things, but in actual fact, nothing materializes, and I can specifically vouch for our ward being in Woodlands.
We also welcome Dr. Troy Mayer.
My apologies.
Dr.
My
Troy
apologies.
Mayer.
Welcome Dr. Troy Mayer as well from Durban Provincial. All right. Sorry, as I was saying, within our ward of Woodlands, specifically in Pietermaritzburg, we find that the community themselves have been taken to the street and getting the sports and recreational facilities up and running. We haven't left much to the municipality to sort out and to get up and running for our youth and the future of the ward itself. Also speaking abroad, being Pietermaritzburg. So that's where we at. We have no confidence in the current establishment of government and their service which they're providing to us. So we welcome with open arms the Cape Colored Congress. I've now asked Mr. Fadiel Adams if he could address us as well.
Sorry, before the national check, can I just whisper something to you?
Well, in fact, that was just a brief briefing. What we'll actually do is call upon Shekinah Freeman, SG, to welcome and introduce briefing, and welcome Fadiel Adams.
Good evening, and welcome. I'm not such a Frenchman. He has kindly asked me, "Can you do that, please?" So, because we're on the same flight back home, I'll rather listen to what he said. Otherwise, we're in trouble. So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. We are glad to be in Pietermaritzburg, or in the KwaZulu-Natal region, to be a part of our leadership, to sit down and do various discussions over this weekend. We had a good day, tiring day, but the weekend is going to come and we're going to sit down, and at the end of the day, when we leave KwaZulu-Natal, I'm sure the leadership here, the Woodlands Ward, everyone else will have a better idea and a better picture in terms of where we're going to. That is not my platform. My name is not on the agenda there, so allow me to introduce to you the President of the Cape Colored Congress, Mr. Fadiel Adams.
Good evening, everyone. I don't get used to this. And let me just be very honest, I'm not used to this type of setting. This normally happens in a garage, because now I've got so light. Stage writers just get in. That's the first time someone has asked me to speak loud. You know, guys, it's not my first time in KZN. The place gets prettier every time I come here. But we didn't come here for scenery. We came here to listen. We came here to learn. This morning at 8 o'clock, well, it's about 8:30, we were having a business breakfast. To certain people it was a breakfast. To me it was a refresher course in my history. Today's people reaffirmed to me that the struggle for liberation started in Wentworth, KZN. It has somehow escaped history. It will never be remembered that freedom fighters sit amongst us. People who risk everything for a better life for all. They sit here unrecognized, unrewarded by a government that does not see us as an entity, as a people, as a culture, or as an equal. That is the lesson that was reaffirmed today. What drives a man to get up 3 o'clock in the morning, to be at the airport at 4:30, to catch a plane at 6, to be in KZN by 8? What drives a man? Injustice. We need to speak louder, thank you, leader, until this government can hear that a great wrong has been committed against us as a people. That our former liberators and cadres and comrades and brothers have turned around and stabbed us in the back. We need to ask the national question, where do we fit in? Where's our place in the sun in the so-called New South Africa? I don't feel that I belong in what was the great open wide tent of the ANC. I don't fit in. I know I do not fit in to the white man's lager they call the Democratic Alliance. There's no place for me there. Why is it expected that we should assimilate? That we should join up? That we should be led? Are we not fit enough? Are we not strong enough to speak for our own selves with our own voice to people like us? For people like us. You see, I've come to the realization that the colored man's struggle is a struggle within a struggle. That before any equality will be, before we even start speaking equality, I need to prove myself. I need to justify my existence. I need to explain my gene pool. My name is Fadiel Adams, and I say no. My ancestors lived here 40,000 years ago. I owe no one anything. Not an explanation, not a history lesson, not a DNA test. My history, my allegiance to these lands does not begin in 1652. This is the unpleasant fact that everybody around us chooses to ignore. That the rightful owners of the land sit right here. They forget that in 1652, when that son of a bitch Van Riebeeck got off the boat, it was us who welcomed them. Their own history records that they suffered from scurvy, that what they received from us was vegetables, livestock. Their own history admits that they found farmers here. Farmers, they turned into farm workers. 400 years later, we are still working a white man's farm. 400 years later, they are still paying us with alcohol. We seek justice, fairness, equality. Why do I stand here tonight? Why do we sit here tonight? Because Nelson Mandela had a dream. He said never, never, and never again. It took them barely 5 years to betray that dream. We can speak of sacrifice. We can. We can speak of Ashley and Robbie and many others. We can speak of the Trojan Horse Massacre. We can speak of the UDF launched in the heart of Mitchell's Plain. The reason this country is liberated, the UDF celebrated 30 years a few months ago. The ANC never lit a candle for it. These people are acting as if we were part and parcel of apartheid. They are acting and saying it that we were the blue-eyed boys of a white government, when in fact, no one knows more about suffering than we. You see, my black brothers and sisters can speak to apartheid. They cannot speak to colonialism. They cannot speak to dispossession. They cannot speak about slavery. It was our ancestors that suffered all of this. And we make no bones about this. And we seek no retribution for it. I was born to fight. I am a descendant of the Khoi and the Sun. I'm not a passive man. I do not turn the other cheek. I do not apologize for it. This is my land too. Where do I go from here? I have no European passport. I have no land in any other province. Where do I go from here? We have to ask this government a very, very simple question. What have we done? And why is my only sin the color of my skin? I want to echo Gayton McKenzie when he asks, why do you hate colored people so much? The system that I live in perpetuates hate. It perpetuates racism. It widens the divide between me and my white brother, me and my Indian brother, me and my black brother. At my very core, I am a non-racialist, but I cannot be colorblind. I see what happens. I see good children being denied opportunity. Skin color of all things being the deciding factor. Is that not what you fought against, my leader? Is that not why our brothers and sisters died, my brother? South Africa is in a mess. We may never recover from this. But what we do need is that one voice, that united voice that is prepared to put its foot down and say, what about the colored people? You see, when we have government officials openly making stupid statements like, there's too many coloreds in the Western Cape, they need to go and look for work elsewhere, and it goes unchallenged, I regard it as government policy. For me to come here and discover what they have done to you, it was a sad shock. It shouldn't have been. Because if they can do to us in the Western Cape, where we are a majority, it's logical to imagine what they can do to you here, what they can do to you in Durban, what they can do to you in Johannesburg, what they can do to you everywhere. Economically, we are nothing. One white man, one Rupert, can buy all of us. Pensions, properties, everything. One Motsepe can buy all of us. Investments, property, pensions, children, everything. Yet we've worked this land for 400 years. Yet the diamonds that they dig for is the land we were forced from. This is the country I live in. This is the state that I live in. I pull up in Durban and the first thing that I must hear is they buried someone last week. Shot. Gang related. Drug related. How many more? When the only options open to our children are drug dealing, are the gang influence. When the doors to the prison system are wide open and the doors to the job market are closed, where do we go as a people? What do we do with ourselves? This conversation we have tonight is 25 years late. We've lost a full generation. I will not allow these men to go to their graves without being rewarded. We are all going to die. How we die, that's the only thing that counts. I want to die with my dignity. Let me be clear. The liberation we seek, it will not be cheap. It might not be bloodless. I doubt that I will live to see it. But I ask my God that if it comes to it, that I face my end with my eyes open and my head high. Because what we do is worth dying for. Where I live, 3,500 young men lost their lives last year. Gunshot wounds only. That is more people dead than in recognized war zones like Iraq and Afghanistan. Yet, 85% of all police stations that are undermanned, under-resourced, under-vehicled are found on the Cape Flats. It is a systemic plan. Why are we shocked when we open the newspapers and find out that a police colonel sold 2,500 drugs, 2,500 guns to gangs on the Cape Flats? 2,500. That's enough for a small army. It is the state that has declared war on colored people. It is a state that has declared war on colored culture, on colored history, on the colored future. Yeah, you sit. You are our future. We do this for you. This is not a party for old men, gentlemen. I expect you to step up in a big way, because I don't want to be doing this forever. We need to get off our knees, on our feet, look the state in the eye, and say to them, we belong here. We have every right to be full and active participants in this country, not spectators. As I stand here, a Chinese man has more right to state aid than I do. As I stand here, a foreign national has a better chance of thriving than I do. This is a genocide, and it's a slow one. The only thing stopping them from setting up gas chambers and getting rid of us is international law. This is how I see it. We need to get up. We need to own our space, own that voice, make the decisions that affect us. I refuse to live in a system where a white man with no investment in my community makes decisions for my community. I refuse to live in a system where a black man who has shown me what he thinks of my community makes decisions for my community. And if I sound racist saying it, I'm telling you my truth. You know what my truth is? Gangs, drugs, guns, death. That's where I live. That's my postal code. That's where I want to get up from. They ask me what agenda I push. I'll tell you unapologetically, the colored one. They tell me what my long-term game is. Full equality. Nothing less. At any price. I didn't know what I was coming to. They didn't tell me. I thank you, every one of you, for taking the time. It's a Friday night. We know what colors like to do on a Friday night. Here you are. To listen to me go on again. Notice that I didn't swear. We go from here. Next level. We step it up. We start talking amongst each other. We start trading amongst each other. We start registering whoever wants to vote. We start registering whoever's not ready to vote. We start talking to our kids. This is their future, 18 plus. We need every one of you at the pulse. There is going to be a big shift in this country over the next 5 years. Whether we're in a position to take advantage of it depends on us. If we don't, we remain slaves for 5 more years. Many people don't like me. That comes as no surprise. I'm not a pleasant person. What you can't call me is a liar. What you can't call me is a failure. Because when I go after something, you're gonna have to shoot me to stop me. We are coming for what is ours. And we don't want much. We're asking for fairness. I live in a country which refuses to treat me fairly. I cannot stand by and allow them to do it to my children as well. Guys, it has been an awesome evening. Thank you very much.
Power to the Triple C. Down with whoever stands in front of us. Power to the Triple C. Down with whoever stands in front of us. Back to you, Chair.
Okay, cool.
Whatever you want to do, you take the lead.
Okay. True words have never been spoken. Thank you so much for those words, President. We are live on Facebook, and there's a lot of members as well gathered from our community who have sacrificed their life and their time doing things that the government has failed to do within our community. So if you have any questions, this would be the perfect time to pose questions within the house, and then we'll move on to social media. If we see any questions as well, we'll just pose them through.
Yes, I have a question. President Fadiel, you know the Brackenfell matter, as you said, was a maybe a watershed, something that has waited or has maybe needed to happen a long time ago, so that we can open up this discussion, this talk about subtle racism that is applied or that is enforced across our social, economic life in South Africa. But the question I want to ask is, you know, apart from the issue of the EFF and stuff like that, how much near are we to actually begin to talk openly with all races? Look, there's been many forums, but certainly those have not helped. Where can we, or when can we see a meaningful discussion that can see solutions going forward?
If I understand the question correctly, Mr. Wood, the Cape Colored Congress is always open to talks with anyone at any time about any issue. However, we go into any meeting with a very, very clear and very, how do I put this? Let's just say with a very, very clear vision. But we come in to that for the colored community. That's full stop. You know, we have to have the stance because nobody else does. You know, we can't talk non-racialism in a country that isn't integrated, in a country that refuses to be integrated. The Brackenfell issue, just to put that in bed, I've read many reports and I've had a few phone calls and emails from parents and students, and I'm starting to believe that there's something sinister happening at that school. However, I don't believe that the incident that sparked all of that was necessarily a racist one. I'm a firm believer on playing every ball by its merit. We can't talk about something that happened 6 months ago because of an issue that happened today. We can't lose focus like that. That is exactly the game politicians play. We don't play that game. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but if you're asking about other races and dialogue, yes, open to talk. We cannot operate in silos. We cannot have a little colored enclave. That's not what we are. We want full integration, full parity, full equality, without any strings attached, if that helps.
Thank you so much for the response, President. Thank you, Gavin. Do you have any other questions in the house?